Welcome back. I'm Brother Lewis, and this is a continuation of My House Should Be Called. I'm a part of an organization called the United House of Prayer for All People. We're talking about corruption and leadership. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. That said, if you're new to the channel, you want to go into the channel and perhaps look at the very first video so that you can see what this is all about. This is to anyone around the world. If you notice there's things in your place of your group, your organization, your institution, things that I'm sharing, if they sound familiar to you, you may want to look into some things and ask some questions. At any rate, I'm going to jump right back in. We're talking about something that was said in the scripture by a man named Isaiah, referring to what he called God's house. It was a temple that had been built to replace a tent that had been built to house something called an ark that would represent God's presence before his people, Israel, where they could come and worship and offer to him in order to receive forgiveness, atonement, or blessings. That said, we're now in the book of Isaiah, and I'm in the 66th chapter. And let me read the first verse, the 66th chapter and the first verse. Thus saith the Lord, the heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool. Where's the house that ye build unto me? And where's the place of my rest? Even though there's a house that's going to be rebuilt, really, it's not for me, it's for y'all. Can God dwell inside of the temple that was built by Solomon? What he's saying is, the heaven is my throne. The entire heaven is his throne. The earth is my footstool. Like you have a footstool to prop your feet up on. He's saying the earth is a footstool for me. The entire earth. How am I going to fit inside that building? Where's the house that you build unto me? Even if you could build a house big enough for God, the earth is not big enough to hold a house that's big enough for God to dwell in. If the earth is his footstool, well, how can the earth even be the foundation of a house that you're going to build for God? The earth is his footstool. If you sit on a chair and there's a footstool where you're resting your feet on it, then that footstool is only big enough for you to rest your feet on it. That footstool, how are you going to build a house on a footstool? How are you going to build a house for God if the earth is a footstool for him? It is impossible. There's no way. And this is why Paul said, God don't live in temples made by man's hands. There's nothing that we can possibly build that would be big enough for him. But it was there to have the ark that would represent his presence. It goes on to say, in the 10th verse, rejoice ye with Jerusalem, and be glad with her. All ye that love her, rejoice for joy with her, all ye that mourn for her. I'm going to jump down to the 18th verse. For I know their works and their thoughts. It shall come that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my glory. And I will set a sign among them, and I will send those that escape of them unto the nations, to Tarshish, Pul, and Lud, that draw the bow, to Tubal and Javan, to the isles afar off. The isles, once again, are the countries afar off, that have not heard my fame. I'm going to send them there. Neither have seen my glory, and they shall declare my glory among the Gentiles. I'm going to send those to escape of them unto the nations to talk about me. And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto the Lord out of all nations. Now they're going to be as an offering to the Lord, upon horses and in chariots, and in litters, and upon mules, and upon swift beasts, to my holy mountain Jerusalem, saith the Lord. As the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel unto the house of the Lord, the same way they bring offerings from wherever to that one place. He's saying, I'm going to send all over, and I'm going to bring them to my one place. We saw this happen in the Old Testament. Once again, Isaiah 49:6, God made Isaiah a light to the Gentiles. And that was not the first time Gentiles came. Not by a long shot. Look at what I said earlier. Esther. In the book of Esther, in the 8th chapter, and look at this 17th verse. And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. Many of the people of the land became Jews. Gentiles became Jews. This is what I said before. Paul did not make that up when he said a Jew is not a Jew that's one outwardly. He's saying you're not a Jew just because you're born an Israelite. He said there's many Jews that are Jews inwardly. And he was talking about all those Gentiles that was already keeping the laws, making their way to the temple. This is why you had people from different nations in the book of Acts. When the disciples came down from the upper room, they were saying that we hear them speaking in our native languages. They were there for the holy feasts that had been commanded to Moses. Philip came across a eunuch that was doing what? He's reading the book of the prophets of Israel, trying to understand it. Well, why was he there in the first place? People had been drawn from all over for the feast activities. Many of the people of the land became Jews. This is in Esther and Mordecai's day. If Gentiles became Jews, then where did they go to worship God? The same place Rahab went, the same place Ruth went, the same place the Egyptians went. In fact, the mighty men of David, some of the mighty men of David were Gentiles. Were Gentiles. In the second book of the first book of Samuel. The first book of Samuel, and if we go down to the 26th chapter and look at the 5th verse. And David arose and came to the place where Saul had pitched. And David beheld the place where Saul lay. And Abner, the son of Ner, the captain of his host, and Saul lay in the trench, and the people pitched round about him. Then answered David and said to Ahimelech the Hittite. David said to Ahimelech the Hittite. Ahimelech is a Gentile. He's a Gentile. He said to Ahimelech the Hittite and to Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, brother to Joab, saying, who will go down with me to Saul to the camp? And Abishai said, I'll go down with thee. So David and Abishai came to the people by night, and behold, Saul lay sleeping within the trench, and his spear stuck in the ground at his bolster, but Abner and the people lay round about him. If you keep reading, you'll see that Abishai wanted to kill him on the spot. Now, let's go to 2 Samuel. In the 15th chapter of the second book of Samuel. Fourteenth verse. 15th chapter of second book of Samuel, 14th verse. And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, arise and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servants said unto the king, behold, thy servants are ready to do whatsoever my lord the king shall appoint. And the king went forth, and all his household after him. And the king left 10 women, which were concubines, to keep the house. And the king went forth, and all the people after him, and tarried in a place that was far off. And all his servants, David's servants, passed on beside him. And all the Cherethites, these are servants that are Gentile. All the Cherethites, all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, 600 men which came after him from Gath, passed on before the king. Gentiles, 600, serving King David. Look at the 19th verse. Then said the king to Idai, the Gittite, wherefore goest thou also with us? Return to thy place, and abide with the king, for thou art a stranger and also an exile. Whereas thou camest but yesterday. This is why he's saying it. All the other Gentiles had been with him, but Idai had just gotten there. He said, should I this day make thee go up and down with us? You just got here. I'm not going to make you trek with us. This is going to be a hard task. We're going to be out in the wilderness. Seeing I go whither I may, return thou and take back thy brethren. Mercy and truth be with thee. Take your brothers with you. Idai answered the king and said, as the Lord liveth, and as my lord the king liveth, surely in what place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also will thy servant be. I'm going with you. He said the same thing to David that Ruth said to Naomi. I'm coming with you. I'm going to serve you. I'm going to be under your laws. Your God is my God, and you are my Lord, the king. David said to Idai, go and pass over. And Idai, the Gittite, passed over, and all his men, and all the little ones that were with him. These are Gentiles. In the first book of Chronicles, in the 11th chapter, and we're closing this up, 11th chapter of the first book of Chronicles, in the 10th verse, these also are the chief of the mighty men whom David had, who strengthened themselves with him in his kingdom and with all Israel to make him king according to the word of the Lord concerning Israel. Now, if you go down to the 12th verse, and after him was Eleazar, the son of Dodo, the Ahohite, who was one of the three mighties, one of the three mighty men. He was with David. Matter of fact, if you go down to the 15th verse, you'll see an event that took place with three men. David was in a fix. He was surrounded. Three men broke through the army to get to David. And when they got to him to get him out, they broke and fought their way back out. In order to get out, he cried out loud, "Oh, if I had some water from the well of Jacob." The well of Bethlehem, that was by the gate. The well of Bethlehem. These three mighty men broke through the camp, the army, to go get water. While one carried the water, the two others fought their way back to get to David. And in doing so, they made a clearing, nothing there but dead men. Now David can get out. One of those mighty men, Eleazar, the son of Dodo, the Ahohite. If you go down, you can read about that story up until the 20th verse. But when you get down to the 22nd verse, Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done many acts, he slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. And it gives you descriptions of how mighty these men were and their skill in fighting. He killed a man, 23rd verse. He slew an Egyptian, a man of great stature, 5 cubits high. A cubit is the same as the tip of your fingers to the end of your elbows, and an approximate, it's 1.5 feet. 5 cubits high. That's 23rd verse. He slew an Egyptian, a man of great stature, 5 cubits high, 7.5 feet tall. And in the Egyptian's hand was a spear like a weaver's beam. And he went down to him with a staff and plucked the spear out of the Egyptian's hand and slew him with his own spear. 25th verse, let me skip down. Behold, he was honorable among the 30, but attained not to the first 3. And David set him over his guard. Now we're talking about more Gentiles. As mighty and as bad as that man was, he wasn't even in the top 3. If you go down to 26, also the valiant men of the armies was Asahel, the brother of Joab, Elhanan, the son of Dodo of Bethlehem, 27, Shemoth, the Hararite, Helez, the Pelonite, Ira, the son of Akesh, the Tekoite. We're looking at a bunch of Gentiles all the way till the end of this chapter. And they're fighting mighty, mighty men that were Gentiles who had joined themselves to the Israelites, fighting in the armies of King David. Loyal to him to the death. They're now accepted among Israel as one of their own. Why did I go there? Because throughout the Old Testament, we're showing that, one second. We're showing that Gentiles were always a part of Israel since Moses' day. And what Isaiah said was not prophecy for something that was going to happen after Jesus came and gave his life and was risen again, and then the gospel went out to the world. That's not what happened. Even if that was what the scripture meant, then why is it that there was no house built from the time that Jesus died over 1,900 years, and then all of a sudden a man is sent here to the United States to build a place called the House of Prayer, and then eventually called the United House of Prayer? The point of the matter is, we are not that. We're not a manifestation of what was said in Isaiah's day. And to sum all of this up, let's go to the 24th chapter of the book of Matthew. In the 24th chapter of Matthew, 24th chapter, look at the first verse. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things, all these buildings? He said, Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Not one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. While it was up and running, the Israelites, they went to the temple because they were supposed to. They were under a covenant. All of their lives, they were there. As long as the temple's standing, that's what they did. That's where they went. Jesus himself went to the temple. He was a part of the Israelites. He was under a covenant. He himself was circumcised like all the other disciples. And he sent them out to all the world, but they still were under the covenant. And many people don't understand exactly how that works. So even though they're no longer under the law, they're no longer under the law because they're now following the Spirit, and they're not going to break the law anyway. Not under the law does not mean that they're not abiding by it. It doesn't mean that they ignore it. It simply means that the law is no longer a weight for them. They're now walking in the Spirit of God. They're not going to break his laws anyway. If you go to the 21st chapter of the book of Acts, the 21st chapter of the book of Acts, you see the 17th verse. Acts 21:17. And when we were come to Jerusalem, the brethren received us gladly. And the day following, Paul went in with us unto James, James the disciple, and all the elders were present. And when he had saluted them, all the elders along with James, when he had saluted them, he declared particularly what things God had wrought among the Gentiles by his ministry. He filled them in on what's been going on with him while he's been traveling. When he had saluted them, he declared particularly what things that God had wrought among the Gentiles by his ministry. 20th verse. When they heard it, they glorified the Lord and said unto him, Thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Jews there are which believe, and they are all zealous of the law. Thousands of Jews believe the gospel, but they're also zealous of the law. So they don't want to put themselves in a situation where they're going against the law. They're zealous of the law, and they believe the gospel. And 21, they are informed of thee. They are told, they're believers, but they are told that you, teaching Jews which are among the Gentiles, to forsake Moses, saying that they ought not to circumcise their children, neither to walk after the customs. Paul was telling the Gentiles to not circumcise their children, but he was not telling the Israelites not to get circumcised. He was telling the Gentiles. But some of the Gentiles had Israelites mixed in who were believers also. So this word got back that this is what Paul was teaching, which was a misunderstanding. 22nd verse. What is it therefore? The multitude must needs come together, for they will hear that thou art come. We got to bring these people together. The multitudes of the Jews, there's thousands of them that believe, and yet they're zealous of the law. And they hear that you're telling Jews amongst the Gentiles to pay no attention to the circumcision, which is taken a part of the covenant. And we can't have this confusion. So he said, for they will hear thou art come. 23. Do therefore this that we say to thee. We have 4 men here which have a vow on them. You take these, Paul, take these 4 men and purify thyself with them. Join in with these 4 men as if you're taking a vow along with them. Okay? And be at charges with them. Go into the ceremony along with them, that they may shave their heads, and all people may know that those things whereof they were informed concerning you are nothing. When they see you go to the temple along with these 4 men, and that you are taking upon yourself the same vow of these other 4 men, and shave your head and go through the ceremonial rites of purification, then they're going to look at you and say, wait a minute, Paul's not teaching the Jews over there with the Gentiles to avoid circumcision, because Paul himself is still partaking in the ceremonial laws of Moses. He's going through the purification rites. So that was supposed to make them believe that Paul is not teaching the Jews against circumcision. Look, it says that all may know those things whereof they were informed concerning thee are nothing, but that thou thyself also walkest orderly, and you keep the law. When they see you at the temple taking part of the purification rites with these other 4, All's going to be good. Those who are concerned about you telling Jews not to be circumcised, they'll be all right. They will hear that you were over there and they'll pay it no mind. They say, Paul not teaching people against the law. Now, 25th, as touching the Gentiles which believe, we've written and concluded that they observe no such thing. They don't need to observe the laws of Moses. We've already agreed to that. No such thing, save only that they keep themselves from things offered to idols, and from blood, and from strangled, and from fornication. So yes, we're going to tell the Gentiles, y'all don't need to take part in the circumcision. All these other Gentiles who already did, that's one thing. But Gentiles that are coming in, that are new, no more. You don't need to do that no more. Israelites, okay. If you take it upon yourself to do that, fine. I'm not going to tell you not to, but I'm not going to tell you to do it either. That's going to be up to you. We're going to leave that alone. But you can still be a believer even if you're under the circumcision. The Gentiles, however, we're going to tell them, don't worry about it. As we go out, we're going to tell them not to worry about it. That's why there was this argument in the 15th chapter of Acts, because there was already Gentiles that were circumcised. So now they're going out telling new Gentiles that had nothing to do with Israel yet. They're not telling them about the laws of Moses. They're not telling them about the temple. They're telling them about the Messiah. And to believe on the Messiah, they will be saved. They're not telling them to believe in the temple, you will be saved. So now the Gentiles, along with the Jews, are looking at these Gentiles. Wait a minute, they need to be circumcised too. And then they came together and said, no, not these. It's not necessary. So Paul, 26 verse, took them in the next day, purifying himself with them, entered into the temple to signify the accomplishment of the days of purification, until that an offering should be offered for every one of them. Why did he do it? To show the people, yes, we're still under the covenant. We don't have to worry about all these other things, but we're still under the covenant. What did Jesus tell them in the 23rd chapter of Matthew? The scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore they say, observe, and do. You don't have to worry about the law, though, because you're not going to break the law. They're not going back up there to offer sacrifices and offerings for forgiveness. They're still underneath of the ceremonial laws. They're still given a temple tax. There's still a free will offering, a thank you offering, which might be a turtle dove, a pigeon, a goat. But they're not going to sacrifice to get forgiveness, because the Messiah had laid down his life. That's the last sacrifice. And as long as the temple stood, Israelites continued going to the temple. But remember, Jesus said in the 24th chapter of Matthew that the time is coming that it's not going to be any more. Not one stone was going to lie upon the other. Therefore, the temple's done. When that happens, the temple is going to be destroyed. Nobody going to go to the temple no more because it's gone. And he said, 4th verse, Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. When these things happen, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Many all over the place are going to come saying, I'm Christ. And they're going to deceive many the same way I was deceived for over 40 years. The same way I'm saying we in the house of prayer have been deceived for over 40 years. This is him saying, they're going to say, I'm Christ. I'm Christ. I got Christ. I got the same thing that Jesus had. I'm the same thing that Peter was. Everything got to come through me, 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 me. I'm the servant in the land today. You got to get through me to get to Jesus. We've heard those messages. It is a lie. It is a deception. It is a false doctrine. Is there anything wrong with going to a place of fellowship? No, anybody can fellowship. We are to come together and forsake not the assembling of the saints, so that we can come together with like-minded individuals to share, to witness, to encourage and motivate and teach and guide each other as we're led by the Spirit as well, in the things of holiness and the things of the doctrine and the word, while we walk in this journey on our way to receiving eternal life. But these places are not his house. God did not tell anybody to build another house. After he destroyed the temple, that was it. This is why Paul talked about we are the temple. And this is why Jesus is saying here, many shall come in his name saying, I'm Christ, and shall deceive many. When you look at the 23rd verse, then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. People tell you, oh, he's over here. This is where he is. That's where Jesus said, believe it not. Don't believe it. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. He said, behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he's in the desert, go not forth. Where's the man of God? He's nowhere. There was men that he sent out to teach and make disciples. If there's somebody saying that they are the Christ, they're Christ, and this is a problem here, because ours said that he's actually reincarnation of Jesus. This is a problem. So Jesus said, wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he's in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he's in the secret chambers. He said, believe it not. So, the house of prayer for all people, Jesus even said when he was whipping them out the temple, he said, is it not written, mine house shall be called an house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves? And he got that from what Jeremiah said in the 7th chapter of Jeremiah. Jesus was quoting what had already been said before him. It was a house of prayer already. It was a house of prayer for all people already. Not just in Isaiah's day. Back in Moses' day, it was a house of prayer for all people. So what happened? The house of prayer for all people was shut down. When it was a tabernacle, it was shut down. The ark was taken. It was reclaimed. And then a temple was built after it was put back in the tabernacle. And then that temple was destroyed. That house of prayer was shut down. Then it was rebuilt again. By the time Jesus came, the house of prayer for all people still standing, but God had been upset too many times. And this time, after Jesus was killed by the leaders of the house of prayer for all people, they plotted, planned, and killed him. Then he sent his disciples out to the world so that they can teach the gospel of the kingdom and tell people just believing in him is enough. You don't have to any longer go to a building and have anybody offer animals for sacrifices in order to receive forgiveness and atonement. He is the ultimate. He is the final. He is the last sacrifice. Therefore, the building was done away with. No more do you need to go to a building to offer anything to God. Therefore, there are no temple priests today to accept any offerings to offer to God, because there's no altar for them to offer on. And if there's no temple priest to accept your offerings or your sacrifices, then how are you going to give tithes when they can't even accept that? There's no priest today, there's no house today to carry tithes, sacrifices, or offerings today, not since It was destroyed back in Jesus' day. And he said, anybody tell you otherwise, don't believe them. Lo, here's Christ. Don't believe them. They are a deceiver. I was deceived, and I'm grateful that my eyes are now open. And this is so that we can all come together and learn about our Messiah, or the Messiah, the begotten Son of God, our Father in heaven, so that we can learn everything that we need to learn about him, because still there's much more to be learned. There's still a lot of things that we don't know, and we have yet to come together so that we can learn those things too, so that we can walk before our Father in heaven and please him. With all that said, that has been presentation of Mine House Shall Be Called, to show that we are not a manifestation today of what Isaiah said. We are the result today of what was done when God's Son came and laid down his life and sent his disciples out into the world. And we are to do those same things, put the word out, spread the word, come together to fellowship, and that's all, because we are part of the temple. That said, I'll see you in the next video.